get feedback? Almost. Changes when you get up on the stage. Just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. There we go. Thank you. Welcome everybody. So we'll be doing the typical Thursday night meditation here. That's still kind of doing that, yeah. With me, Michael Taft. So we'll be sitting for a whole hour, an hour, without moving. So do we have Mercurius set up? No.
Yes.
Yes?
We do,
okay.
yeah.
So if if you feel like you can't sit still, like you don't usually sit like this, so 30 minutes in you're gonna squirm, it'd be better to go next door. We have, the like free sit room there, and it's being shown on a screen, and then you can move. But if you're staying in here, then you're kind of committing to doing this for an hour, okay? So that's the score there. Everyone's brave, awesome. Hope you don't mind getting yelled at. We're gonna also, this particular meditation tonight has a second function, which is that I'm starting an online retreat tonight. And so, hello online retreat people who are all Zooming in or actually YouTubing in to watch. So that's what's happening here on this. Although we broadcast every week anyway, there's sort of an extra function happening tonight. So sometimes we do this and sometimes we don't. Tonight we're going to do it, which is we're going to do just a tiny bit of stretching to begin. Especially because of the sitting still. It's just because I'm up here. And what I'm going to do is say that you should only do any stretch that feels good to you. So I'm going to lead some stretches, but if it doesn't feel good or that's too far, whatever, don't do it. Okay? But these should be fairly easy. So let's just start by standing on our tippy toes and reaching up. Look up and don't hold your breath. Go ahead and breathe, but just reach, and see if you can get a good stretch on the sides of your ribs. Good, and then just really gently come on down. If this feels good, you can stop here, but if you want to, you can go all the way to the floor and let your head hang. But again, only do what feels good for you. I like to bend one knee and get a hamstring stretch on one side. And then straighten that leg and bend the other one and get a hamstring stretch on the other side. And then just kind of wiggle your butt around while you're here. And then come on back up real slow. In just a way that just feels nice. So again, it's really mellow. And then just do a nice kind of star pose with your legs out a little bit. Take a nice deep breath, feel good. And what we're going to do is stretch one side. Don't have to go, just go as far as feels nice. And come on back up. Hang out here breathing. Notice I'm kind of always also doing my hips into the big ones for meditating. And then come on back this way. And then back up. And then what we're going to do is kind of sort of a qigong thing where we just twist and let your arms slap your sides. So your arms are just like ropes. There's no tension in your arms at all. You're not holding them up, you're letting them flop, and by twisting your torso, they just end up flopping into your body. And notice if you really let go and do it in a really relaxed way, it feels kind of, it's like a kid's thing or something. It feels really nice. But that stimulates chi too. Okay. Then I'm going to do something that I want you to be really careful that you only do as much as you feel comfortable with. So try sitting like that. What we want to do is stretch out the front of our thighs, right, our quads. So just go back as far as feels good, and it might only be like that. Okay? And if that's where it feels good, stop there. Don't do anything crazy. If you can go way down, that's good. But either way, you just want the front of your body, especially your thighs, to feel that nice stretch. Very good. And then just gently bring your legs forward, bounce them out a little bit. You guys didn't know you were getting a free yoga class, except it's not really yoga. And then lastly, let's, if you can, do some Baddha Konasana. Right, so kind of butterfly pose. But again, really good for getting your hips to feel a little nice. Some people like to put their elbows on their legs there and open them up. Or you can see Emily over there put her head practically down to her feet. That's sort of the super version. But even if you just kind of imagine yourself like this, like you're a butterfly and your knees are your wings, you're flying, just kind of bounce your legs like that a little bit. A little monarch butterfly flying around, it feels kind of nice. There we go. That's it. So from here on out, we'll be nice and still, really still, and also quiet. And you'll see that because I'm talking the whole time, every once in a while I'll take a drink. So if you hear like in the microphone, glug, glug, and then there'll be the sound, click, that's what's going on. I just feel so happy to see you all here tonight. Thanks for showing up. And I hope you enjoy the meditation. As usual, I say this every time, but there's new folks here, so you don't have to follow the guidance. Just like with the stretching we did, just do what you want to do. And if you have your own practice and you like doing that practice, as long as you can sit still and be quiet, then do that. You know, that'll be perfect. But if you want to follow the guidance, we're going to do the kind of stuff I've been leading for years now. So some more open awareness type meditation. All right? So let's begin. What I want you to do is just as you kind of settle back into your seat, your asana, I want you to just check in with yourself. Just see what it's like to be you right now. Feeling your body and your emotions and taking the weather report on your mind and your whole being. And whatever's going on, just let that be completely okay. Even if it's really unpleasant. For now, just let that be just the way it is, and that's fine. So we're checking in with ourselves, seeing what it's like to be you right now. And however that is just right for now. Good. And now I'd like you to just do a slight imaginal journey with me here, and imagine that you're sitting like an ocean, like a boundless, vast ocean. It has that beautiful placidity and relaxation of water. There's zero tension in any part of it. It's really loose and open. We're not moving in any way anymore. We're simply resting as water. Vast, open, and in this case, perfectly clear water. So just pretend to be sitting like an ocean, whatever that means for you. And see if you can find that sense of rest, that sense of relaxation and ease, and some sense of real openness and clarity. And notice that attention or focus may be tight, but awareness itself is like this ocean. Awareness itself is naturally relaxed and at ease, naturally wide open and effortless, naturally clear. And allow awareness to notice without effort and without focusing, without any attention at all. Just allow this wide open awareness to notice the rising and falling of the breath. If you want to, you could even see it as a wave in the ocean. But minimally, just let your already wide open, wide awake awareness just notice that the breath is rising and falling. Don't put any tension on it, no tightness, no focus, just wide open noticing that the breath, the wave of the breath, rises and falls in the vast ocean of wide open awareness. Doesn't take any effort at all. It's easy and relaxed. And I want you to just keep allowing awareness to notice that breath wave, again, without tension, without focus. Just know that it's happening. And you can keep it almost as like the heartbeat or background of the practice. as you're doing that, I'd just like to invite you to do some physical relaxation, beginning with your head and face. So just invite, especially your face, to just let go of any fixed expression or tightness or tension. Not stretching or moving, but just allowing tension to drain from the face and be replaced with a sense of ease and peace in the face, so that you notice your forehead muscles relaxing a little bit and feeling kind of nice, and your eyebrows, and especially the tense muscles around your eyes release and relax. Your eyelids let go. Your cheeks and mouth and lips relax. And your jaw releases to the place where your upper and lower teeth are not touching. And just notice that. That already brings a deeper sense of ease, a deeper sense of letting go, that you can tune into. It doesn't require any effort, it's just a kind of letting go of effort. Letting go of tightening on purpose. And just releasing that. And then let's do the same thing with our neck and throat and shoulders, releasing any tension and replacing that with openness and ease and space. Now, what sometimes happens is if people find tension in a place, they'll start to fight it and try to get rid of it and all that, and that's not what we're doing. It's simply wherever you can notice that you can just let go, and enjoy that. And anything that wants to stay tense, then don't fight it, just let it be the way it is. If you find yourself getting drowsy, go ahead and open your eyes and sit up a little straight. Maybe it makes it a little easier. You can, there's the muscle in your throat that if you relax it, makes your voice deeper. It's just a kind of relaxation. So if you can relax that, go ahead and do that. And just feel now how your face and neck and throat and shoulders are, there's just a little more ease there, a little more space. And allow your arms and wrists and hands and fingers to just go utterly limp. Limp like wet noodles. Zero tension. No need at all to do anything with your arms or hands or fingers. And notice how good that feels. You might even feel a little extra blood flow or some tingling in your hands because of the relaxation. And so now just notice that the arms feel good, and the shoulders and neck and throat feels good, and the face feels good, or at least a little more relaxed, a little more open. And just tune into that as a kind of fundamental expression of the relaxed ease and openness of your already existing spacious awareness, which is like a vast open ocean. And just tune into that and drop now more deeply into letting go. Noticing the rising and falling of that breath wave without any effort. it feels to just release and open. Wide awake, very clear, very bright, and very relaxed. If you can, just release any tension in your diaphragm and your belly. Just let that relax and be at ease. And your kind of lower back region too, around your kidneys, just opens up, takes part in the breathing, lets go a little bit. And then notice in the pelvic region, any tension there, relaxing and opening. And your hips, your hip joints releasing. Maybe your legs fall, just naturally fall open, just slightly more. And your legs themselves become limp like wet rags. No tension of any kind. And you notice how this kind of relaxed, tension-free openness brings you to a place of sitting still without any tension at all. This is the sitting still of letting go and releasing. And notice how as your body becomes more spacious, feeling and open and releases and lets go, the core of your mind can just kind of relax and almost melt. Maybe just melt into the ocean. So that the core of the mind itself is spacious and at ease, grabbing on to nothing, holding on to nothing, releasing and opening and letting be. And let's just sit with that together, wide awake, bright and clear, a vast ocean of awareness, noticing the wave of the breath, rising and falling without any effort. If you notice the mind grabbing onto something, just relax. Allow it to fall back open without any effort. And whatever it was grabbing onto just toddles off. Each time the mind grabs on, just relax. Let that open and let whatever it grabbed onto just go on its merry way. The mind here is like a vast, spacious, open ocean, grabbing onto, hanging onto nothing at all. Simply noticing the rising and falling of the breath without any tension or attention. Very good. Now, let go of even noticing that breath wave and just allow awareness itself to rest in itself. Noticing the tremendous openness and ease of awareness. It's already there, there's nothing to do. It's already present. But also its tremendous stability. If for whatever reason that's too challenging, just keep noticing the breath wave. Otherwise, we can use awareness itself as its own meditation object, simply resting in awareness of itself without any effort. It's already aware. There's nothing to do. was a traditional teacher, I'd yell really loud right now. But instead, I'm just going to ring this bell. We're going to continue meditating, but I'm just going to ring the bell once, just to kind of brighten things up in here a bit. So, bell is coming. Let's listen to that bell. Good. Now we're going to do something slightly more active. I want you to simply notice whatever emotions are arising, if any are arising. And notice that those emotions that are arising are empty. Meaning, they're there, you can feel the emotion. But it's also kind of not there. It's like a reflection in a mirror, or like a rainbow or a cloud. There's a feeling, tone of emotion that's there, and at the same time it's got a certain kind of nebulosity, which we traditionally call emptiness. And if there's no emotions there, then notice that feeling of emotional peace or rest, and notice the emptiness of that as well. So each time emotion arises, of any sort, no matter how small, we're just noticing its emptiness very easily, very naturally. It's not something you could grab and hang on to. It's not something you could put in a box. It's not something you could label and place in a display case. It's continuously moving, changing, and in a way, almost like a reflection of an emotion. There and not there. feeling things, you can never really define it or pinpoint it or settle on a final description. It's continuously moving and changing and nebulous. Notice that property of any emotions or moods or feelings that are arising. In our conceptual mind, we want to make them into distinct things. But if we're allowing awareness to contact it freely and openly and directly, we notice it is not a thing. Good. Now continuing to do that, notice the same thing about any thinking that's occurring. Any kind of thinking. Thoughts are arising, but we can't tell where they're coming from. They're staying for a little while, but continuously changing. And then they vanish and we don't know where they went. So just like with the feelings, with the emotions, it's very hard to say that a thought is a thing. Or something we can grab onto. And especially if you're using thought constructs to try to guide your meditation or do it right or judge yourself about it, all of that is just the same thing, just the arising and passing of a sense of movement in the mind, but nothing you can hang on to. You may try to hang on to it, you may try to rest in it, but it never rests. It's not reliable like that. It's empty. Thoughts are like shining projections on nothing, just there but also kind of not there. Notice that now. almost like in this vast open ocean of bright, clear awareness that is very awake. There are just ripples of thought and ripples of feeling. Still just more ocean. Not somehow different. Nothing to hang on to. Now let's do the same thing with any concrete seeming body sensations. All that discomfort in your legs or some feeling in your back or whatever's going on. Simply arising in awareness, like ripples in the water. Not somehow different than the water. Not somehow able to injure the water or harm the water. There but not there. Thoughts, emotions, body sensations, all simply like dreams, like clouds, like reflection in the water. There, but also not there. Just let go, don't hang on. There's nothing to hang on to. If it's tightening, just relax. Notice that the vast space of awareness, the ocean of awareness, is undisturbed. It's utterly at ease. Open and restful, regardless regardless of what's arising. Emotions are empty, thoughts are empty, body sensations are empty. Now notice that even that sense of being you has that same quality. It's like a reflection in a mirror. There but not there. That whole story of you, likes and dislikes, your history, what you're like and where you're coming from, all of that is simply a reflection in the mirror of awareness. There, it's definitely there, it's just also kind of not there. It's like a dream. Dreams are there, but when you wake up, where are they? Notice that that whole sense of self is like a dream. Don't be the sense of self. Be what notices it. notice that even the idea that you're doing a meditation, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? How am I doing? This is going well, this isn't going well. That's all just empty concepts. Just some passing thought and feeling, like ripples in the ocean of awareness. Utterly empty, utterly not to be held on to. And when we finally actually notice our own already present, utterly easeful, open awakeness, it's always been there since beginningless time. We notice that that is just fine. That is at peace. But it's also playful and spontaneous and very alive. Not caught up in a story. Fresh and present and natural. It's never not been there. It's never not been the ground of your own being. Nothing to fix. Nothing to change. Wide open. Utterly present. Awareness recognizes itself, recognizes what it's always been. It feels a kind of joy. It's just the joy of openness, the joy of no constriction. And also the joy of connection. There's no lack of connection and togetherness. And just notice that kindness and joy and connection radiating out in all directions. bringing relief in all directions to everyone, everywhere. Kindness. Peace and ease to all beings everywhere. Good. Go ahead and let go of the practice. Feel free to move and stretch. But you might also notice, I need to drink a little more. You might also notice that the spaciousness, the openness, the wakefulness, the awareness doesn't go away. Didn't go anywhere. Still there. Because we're not generating it or somehow, by getting in just the right spot of meditation, making it happen or something like that. It's always there. We're just getting still enough to notice that. When you tune into that over and over again, because it's always there to tune into, and eventually, instead of the idea of you tuning into it, you sort of realize that you're just returning to where you're already at, or kind of recognizing what's already there. The more that happens, the more it's kind of a funny thing. I think I was mentioning this verse from Rumi, Jalaluddin Rumi, the other day, where it's pretty famous, and I won't quote the poem correctly, but the poem is going describing the anguish and angst and effort of knocking on the door, trying to get inside, and then realizing, oh, I'm knocking from the inside, I'm already there. All of that was just kind of like a mistake or a funny game, like I'm already here, there was nothing to do. And that's the feeling. That's the feeling when we recognize our own awakeness. It's like you've been trying to do the meditation right, and you've been trying to get concentrated, and you've been, you're warring with distraction, or you're warring with your kleshas, or you're warring with you feel too tired, or you feel too, what's the proper term I'm looking for here? The word that's coming up is feisty. That's not the actual word I'm looking for. Flighty, yeah, a little flighty, kind of too much speed in your head. So you're trying to change that, or you're just constantly fighting with the system to get it right, gotta get it right. And that's the same thing. I'm knocking and knocking and knocking, and then you realize you're knocking from the inside. There was nothing to get right there, because it's the awareness that is already there. That's already stable. That's already clear. That's already wide awake. That's already completely free and joyous. There's nothing to change about it. And all of a sudden you can just relax. It's okay. the awareness is already awake. And then you tighten up and forget that again, but just relax and recognize again, and then relax and recognize again. Once you recognize that, even a little bit, and then you get kind of confident in it. Oh, yeah, I am recognizing it. You can't ever forget what that is, because it's such an unusual thing. You ever read in Stranger from in a Strange Land, they talk about, Michael Valentine Smith, like pushes people 90 degrees to everything. It just disappears them in this sort of magic way in the book. Stated as a kind of geometry, like just there's a place 90 degrees from everything. And that's sort of what it feels like. The awareness is both permeates everything, but in another funny way, it's 90 degrees from everything that we've been taught to pay attention to, like emotion. And of course, emotion is extremely important, helpful, beautiful, useful, deep, rich, sometimes disturbing, upsetting, life-wrecking, sometimes the most important thing and most healing thing. And so there's no sense in which I'm saying that's not important or not there. But also, it's different than we think it is, because it's a reflection or a rising in awareness. If you didn't know it was there, that's different. Same thing with thoughts, and for most of us, either our thoughts or our emotions are going to be kind of central to gluing our sense of self together, usually both, but some of us are more like kind of mental construct people, some of us are more, deep emoters. But everyone's got both of those going on. But in the case of thoughts, it's really easy to just glom onto those and grab onto them. And I don't just mean words. It's not just words, like we tend to think of thoughts as like the sentences in our heads, but it's also just the overall structures, the concepts, the frames that we're setting things in, and the viewpoint. I don't mean visual viewpoint, I mean kind of our sense of where we are compared to them. All that is coming under the word thought, or we could say thought construct or concepts. And all, in the same way as the emotions, that's there. We can build an airplane using that and it will fly, and the stuff is useful, but it's also different than what we think it is. It's reflecting, it's an arising in awareness. Like a ripple in an ocean, and it's not separate from the ocean, it's not something to grab onto. Just like emotions, you can't hang your hat on it, you can't rest on it, you can't attempt to be that, and that's all we do is attempt to be those things. And when we attempt to be those things, we notice over and over that you can't actually do that, and that's frustrating. So we, try to continuously struggle to make those somehow stable, somehow a place to rest, somehow something to be, and they never can be that. And there wasn't a millisecond in your entire life where you've been that. That's like believing you're the avatar in your video game. It's there, you can see it, but that's not something you can be. But what's noticing that? How do you even know it's there? Again, the awareness is central. It's how you know there's a thought construct there at all, or what the thought construct is. And so the game here is not to do it right, or not to be the correct thought construct, or not to have the correct emotion, or to somehow stabilize those, or somehow make those all come into focus just right, but rather to just stop grabbing on to any of that long enough to just notice the thing that's always there, the noticing itself, the noticing itself. And that's what I mean, it's kind of 90 degrees to everything, because that, we've never been trained to do that. It's really actually quite easy, but because we've never been trained to do it, it feels like the weirdest thing in the world. And the standard formula, the standard kind of like, if you get into sort of the traditions and the scriptures and stuff, what they will say is that it's, I'll forget the full list, but that it's like so easy, you just can't believe you're doing it right. And it's so obvious that you can't believe that that's what people are trying to get you to see. And it's so good, you can't believe that that's really it. There's one more. Can't remember what it is right now. But it's like really that easy and really that obvious and really that good. Once you kind of get the hang of what we're trying to get you to notice, which is the noticing. In a bunch of my classes, we've been going through this beautiful translation of a poem by a 1900s, 2000, a 16th century Tibetan poet and master called Jigme Lingpa, and the book is translated by Ken MacLeod. It's called A Trackless Path. But in there he says something really interesting, which is, instead of glomming on to the arising, be what knows the arising. Be what notices it. And he has a really interesting metaphor for that. He says, that's like being an oak peg in the hard ground. It's a very odd metaphor when you think about, like, it's all these traditions talk about space and openness and ease, and there's nothing to hang on to. But he's saying that sense of coming from awareness itself, openness, not a thought construct, not any kind of construct, but just awareness, even awareness not as a construct, not as a thing, that has this property of being like an oak peg in the hard ground. And even though it too is empty, it does have this interesting sense of being super stable and very unruffled, even though lots of things are changing. It has this sense it's always been there, it's never been different. And so on. Now we're not deifying that or beifying that into the one permanent thing. It's still empty, as I'm saying, but still it has this property of, compared to the constructs of being like an oak peg in the hard ground. It's very interesting. When we learn to meditate by, let's say, focusing on the breath, which is a beautiful thing to do. I mean, please do that. It's a great meditation. We're kind of borrowing the stability of the breath to stabilize our mind, right? Or let's say you're meditating on looking at a cushion in front of you. We're kind of borrowing the stability of that visual presentation to still our mind. But eventually, as you do that kind of meditation more and more and more, you realize the thing itself is not stable at all. It was just comparatively stable. But the more you notice it, the more, depending on how you're doing the meditation, you might see it, turn into kind of like buzzy, super vibratory static, or just directly see its emptiness, which is like, it's like just a reflection. And so the thing that you were using to stabilize the mind, eventually you see is completely unstable. And what's actually stable is what is like mind with a capital M. The awareness itself is tremendously stable, and the objects of awareness are not. And so we can allow what's already there, nothing special, just the fact that you're awake right now, to be its own stability. It's very interesting. It's very powerful. It's kind of freeing, or I could say radically freeing, especially the more you notice that it's always available, always available. And that's when you're like, oh, I'm knocking and knocking to get inside to the good place, but I'm knocking from inside the good place. I totally got it. It's like, what? I'm already there. It's already there. I didn't have to make it. I didn't have to crawl my way there. It's already there. So good, that's my raving for this evening. Any questions or comments or even reports from you all? And if you wouldn't mind, speak kind of loud. Anyone? Aram. So really talk loud.
What's the function of the not moving in the meditation?
Total relaxation.
But what about the pain that's building up? That seems like it's relaxation.
Yeah, so if pain is building up, then number one, that's what I said, feel free next time to sit in the other room and not experience that pain. That's great. But as you get more and more used to sitting like this, you'll notice either the pain doesn't arise because your body just gets used to sitting still, or if it does, that becomes another object to notice the emptiness of and allows you to connect more deeply with the awareness that's noticing. It's actually really, really helpful to sit still. But you don't want to do it before you're ready, because then it's kind of just agony. Which is why we kindly provide the other thing. Eventually, though, you'll notice that when you relax enough, your body just, that's what I was saying, we don't stay still rigidly. We're not holding ourselves still. You're relaxing to the point where you can't move. Because if you were to try to move, you'd have to tense back up. And if you get used to doing that and you sit, like you're sitting in a way that you're used to sitting, your body will find this spot where it can sit, where it just feels good the whole time. So it just takes a little getting used to, but once you're used to it, it's like, there's kind of a bing, you just want to just be so relaxed and open that you just kind of can't move. So it's really eventually very, very nice. When I was first learning to sit this way, it was like prison, and I just got to make it through it. And that can be useful. Actually, lots of traditions work with that. But it's okay to not push it further than you can push it right now. But eventually you'll notice, it might take months or years or whatever, but eventually you just sit there and it just feels good to just really relax. Because all the time you're ready to move, this is the funny thing, readiness to move is like 15-20% tension in the muscles. That's what readiness is. And so if you let go of that, really let go of it, you settle into a kind of stillness that is very, very pleasant. And then your mind will start to relax and open also. So the body and mind are one thing, right? So that tremendous relaxation style stillness in the physical body starts to induce relaxed, open stillness in the mind. Whereas if we're keeping the body really tense, that's like we're trying to keep the mind tense. Sometimes we try to get like thought-free by keeping the mind tense. That doesn't help. That totally doesn't work. Or, if we're just constantly like fidgeting and scratching and changing our hair and zipping and unzipping our clothes or whatever, our mind just will do the same thing. So eventually we just learn to, that really, This is even the secret of jhana. The secret of jhana is not somehow high concentration, it's actually learning how to relax. Really relax. Because when we really relax the body, the mind really relaxes. And instead of being some kind of tight, controlled, that's the real that's real concentration. The mind is just totally still. And it comes from opening, releasing, letting go, freeing tension, right? So that's why we're sitting still. Okay? Yeah, but one thing I'll say is sometimes it feels with their legs, like if they fall asleep, they're gonna, you're gonna be done meditating and your right leg from the knee down will just snap off or something. And that's not gonna happen, They just get a little numb sometimes because the nerve is just slightly pressed, just a little bit. And as long as you get up slow, they'll be completely fine. Great question, though. Thanks, Aram. What else? What's your name?
Paul.
Paul?
Yeah.
Can you talk real loud, especially with your mask on, Paul?
I'll try it. Is there a point beyond which we can't go? Is there a point that's actually invisible when we try to focus the awareness on the awareness? In other words, like, I was surprised how much I could feel that happening, but mentally I'm thinking, I need to be able to pick the thing up and look at it, which means be separate from it. To see it.
Yeah, and so that's coming from concept, right? That's coming from the idea, there's a me over here, looking at awareness over there, and so naturally, like you're saying, you get that feeling of, I've got to be able to pick it up and look at it, or hold it, or focus on it. But you can let go of every bit of that. And because awareness is aware, it doesn't require any focus. You don't have to look at it with tight attention in any way. It's already aware of itself. It's not a thing that you're putting into focus. It's already there. Otherwise, you'd be dead or unconscious or something. Like, is there an experience happening, Paul? Right now?
There's a consciousness and then there's...
No, answer the question. Is there an experience happening?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. You just did it. You don't have to tighten it at all to look at it in some special way. That's what I mean. It's so easy that you can't believe it. It's just that nakedness of the fact that there's experience. So anything you're doing to try to get an angle on it, or turn around to look at, all of that is just nonsense. And I did it for years, so I totally relate to why you're doing it. But being quite literal, throw it out. And just come back to just it's already aware of itself. It's that easy. Okay? Does that make sense to you? Can you do it right now? Yeah? No? Yes. Okay. Right? It's right there. No focus necessary. So, but isn't it interesting? We kind of make what I would call like a Cartesian theater in our head. Like, okay, there's a me over here, and I got to put it up, the thing over there, and all of that is just adding stuff in that does not need to be there. So just every time you notice yourself doing that, just drop it. It's just a waste of time. Okay? Awesome. Great question, Paul. Other folks? Yes, Emily.
You said something.
Speak.
Sorry.
It's okay.
You said something a little bit earlier that where you were kind of talking about thought and emotion and their kind of role, and my question is, how do you feel as though thought and emotion are different
From each other?
from each other, and how the function of them is different, or if you feel like they're different at all?
It's a complicated question because you have to, it's like on many different layers, right? And so in the context of this discussion, I'll just answer briefly, although there's more to it. I would say in the most kind of childlike, regular way, we notice that thoughts are either sounds or pictures, right? They're going to be talk, 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 or pictures, or even if they're deep concepts, they're going to have that kind of structure. Whereas emotions are going to be a body sensation, basically. We might have ideas about the emotion, but that comes back to thoughts. The emotions themselves feel like a kind of movement in the body. So to put it in sort of a experiential but maybe childlike way, thoughts are going to be sounds and pictures, and emotions are going to be feelings in your body. Okay, so what's interesting is as we go deeper and deeper with those, they all start seeming like a kind of movement. And eventually they sort of come together into one thing, right? And it's just stuff moving. And then eventually you recognize it's just awareness moving. It's not even a thing. It's like an empty phantom in awareness. And yet, again, when we say empty, it sounds like I mean nothing, but I don't mean nothing. There's an experience there. But as we go deeper and deeper into what we would call the mind sense, right, it seems to just be more and more movement, whatever that means. And then the movement, like I was saying, like ripples on the ocean of awareness are just made of more awareness. You realize that the thoughts and feelings and body sensations and even the world around you, it's not made of anything but awareness. Even though it's not made of it, but it's not different than it in any way. So, but to get into the function and all that, that's a whole other, I'll say I don't know. Does that answer your question at all?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yes. What is your name?
My name is Joshua.
Hi, Joshua.
Hello. So you're talking about...
Nice sitting, by the way.
Thanks. So you're talking about awareness
Yeah.
and as part of the self. And to me, awareness...
I never said that.
Oh. Okay. Well, you're talking about awareness?
Yes.
Which sounds passive. But what about the will?
Okay.
Is the will subsumed under awareness, or is it a separate thing, or is it the same thing, or how does that come into play?
When you say the will, what do you mean?
I don't merely have the sense that I'm aware, I also have the sense that I can do things, like I can do this, do
Sure.
that, do whatever I want.
Okay.
It's great.
Where does that come from? How do you know what you want?
I choose what I want.
Choose it. How do you know what to choose? Like, so you choose to, I don't know, go to the bathroom.
It's a mixture between determining or choosing, it's hard to say.
All I would say is look really closely at the idea of will and tell me where it comes from. And if you decided it, just in your own experience, look really closely. And, because I can sit here and say I think it's this or that, but I don't know the truth of the universe. I just invite you to see if that thing of like, well, I just do it because I want to. Okay, well, look into the wanting. Really, how do you even know you want that? Where does that come from? It's an interesting thing to look deeply at.
The wanting is not the important thing. I
Yeah.
can will anything, even something I don't want. I can want nothing, and I have 5 options in front of me. I just will this one.
Okay, notice that moment of willing then. Where does that come from? look really closely. Is there a moment before the willing? What's there before the willing? And what's changed once, right in that moment when that sense of willing it appears? And where did it come from? Check it out. I guarantee that will be fascinating.
Okay.
Okay? It's more important than my ideas about this or that, is just look into your own experience. Okay?
Okay.
Awesome. Time-wise, I should go here. I actually would love to keep talking. I really enjoy being privileged to hang out with you guys and hear your questions and stuff. But time hurries on.